Well, hello everybody and welcome back to the final day of the Adobe XD Daily Creative Challenge. I'm your host, Jesse Showalter, and Kyle T. Webster was just up right before me. He's the illustrator evangelist or illustration evangelist, and he got cut off right at the last moment, but it was a really fun stream to watch. I hope you guys caught that one. And I hope you guys are ready for some Daily Creative Challenge. We got lots of people in the chat right now. I got Tim, we got Kelly, we got Anna Marie, Kyle was still hanging around saying hello. Cornell's in the house saying, what's up, Jesse? Steve was saying he got Paul Tranny's big list of tips from his Twitter account. Paul Tranny is kind of the man. So anything Paul says goes. So definitely check that out. Let us know where you got that. Hey, I hope everyone's having a fantastic Friday. We are coming to an end of our challenge. I've had a lot of fun, and today is going to be a really fun challenge. But if you're just tuning in for the first time, or maybe you've been here for every single day of the XD challenge, let's just talk about it real quick. The XD challenge you can find at behance.net/challenge/XD, and here you can press that big blue button to sign up, and you can receive your challenges, see how they've all unlocked each day until we've gotten to the 9th challenge, and we're going to be doing a little 360-degree animation for a luxury car site. It's going to be pretty fun, pretty cool. Got to prototype that bad boy. You also want to join the live stream, and not just the live chat, or excuse me, not the live stream, the chat community, not this chat, but you want to join the Discord, the Adobe XD Discord server with over 36,000 creatives. That's where I'm going to be reviewing your work at the end of the day, as we are number 3 watching the daily show, and then finally sharing your work on Behance using the hashtag XD Daily Challenge. What are you guys doing for the weekend? Scott is from Costa Mesa. What are you doing this weekend, Scott? Do you have plans? Are you working today? Are you off today? Let us know. Hey, I want to just point out a really great resource. Paul Tranny is an amazing wealth of knowledge, but also Howard Pinsky, kind of also the man, a huge resource of knowledge. And if you go to letsxd.com and click on the prototyping, so drop down on learn, go to prototyping, you can learn all the basics of prototyping. And if you don't know anything about it and anything I covered today, you're going, wow, that went really fast. Maybe spend a little bit of time watching some of these about drag triggers and auto animate and overlays, voice triggers. There's so many things you could do. And Howard has done a fantastic job creating this resource for us at letsxd.com. Speaking of Adobe XD, let's jump over to Adobe XD. Your starting file might look just a little bit different than mine because I am always pressed for time. So I decided to just add a few things on of our screens and our design right away so that we save that time. A little bit about our challenge. Luxury car website, we want to be able to rotate the vehicle and view it from different angles. We're going to talk about states, animations, triggers, lots of complex things to bring this to life. And we have a dark artboard 19 by 20 by 1080, standard widescreen website. And I have an overlay menu over here. I'm going to go into prototype really quickly. I'm going to drill down on my menu. I'm just going to drag it over to my overlay menu that I've created. And I'm going to say on tap, I want to auto animate, or excuse me, I want to overlay our overlay menu. And why don't we slide it down, something like that. And let's do it with a little bit of snap in 0.3 seconds. And then when we're here, we can just lead right back, clear the overlay just like that. Let's see what we got, this nice kind of dark user interface or dark website. And we can bring in our overlay menu just like that. And you still have a little bit of transparency so we can see all the content and the details down below. What else do I have in this project? Well, this you will most definitely have in your starting file. And this is a car. And this tutorial was inspired by, oh, now I've forgotten the name. Oh no, but it was inspired by another person who did a tutorial similar to this one. I just thought it was so amazing. I wanted to try it myself. This is a car that's already been created into a component. And that component has multiple states with so many different angles of this vehicle. We're not going to use all 35 angles of this car. We're going to do just a few less, maybe 7 or 8 of them. But if you want to get really nitty gritty, you can click along and get every single kind of side or angle of this car. So that's a pretty cool little resource to have. Let's drag that down onto our canvas. And let's look at our website. It's looking pretty cool already. We also just have a couple of icons there, some social media icons down below, and the name of the vehicle. I don't actually know if this is the name of this vehicle. I'm not a big Ferrari or luxury sports car kind of guy, but it just sounded like it could be the name of it. So if you're out there and you're like, I know all about Ferraris, and that's not the name of that Ferrari, you got me. I don't know the names of Ferraris, so just stick with me, all right? So we have our components, and we have, again, our our car here. And I also have a switcher that I've already pre-built. So again, this won't be in your starting file, but I needed to save time. But let's just take apart this little switcher and see what it's made of. It's also a component that has a number. It has a little progress bar with 2 layers, a filled and an unfilled state, and it has an arrow that we can maybe tap on. Our section with our numbers has multiple different numbers, and they're masked onto a shape, an invisible shape, so only the current number that I want is showing. And I have different states where I've literally moved the progress bar and I've moved the number. And this is how we're gonna create our little stepper to see 7 or 8 different angles of this vehicle. Why don't we just fill out our design a little bit more and do a few other fun things, okay? Before we move on and do this prototyping. And if you have any questions, please leave those in the chat right now. I can't wait to get to your work and do a little bit of review of your work in the Discord server after we're done with this design. So I'm just going to drag a rectangle out. I'm going to grab, let's see, I'm going to grab that same color that we're using, and why don't we just lighten it up a little bit? It's like a dark gray kind of color. I'm just going to use Command or Control bracket to move it to the background, so it's behind these icon elements. And I'm going to take these social media icon elements and just make sure they're centered right there. Now I feel like I want to do something a little bit more sporty and interesting, so I'm going to take you know what, I feel like I like these, but I feel like all the text needs to have just a little bit more character space just to make it a little bit more interesting. So I'm going to do something like that. I'm going to come down to my box here that I've created, and I don't have any other ideas for content here for this one because I don't understand Ferrari. So, but I am going to put Ferrari F50 right there. I'm going to bring just the opacity of it down, just a little something to make it look interesting. Now, the other thing I'm going to do is I'm going to draw a rectangle like so. We're going to use some Pathfinder tools. I'm going to turn this at a nice angle, like something like that. And I'm going to bring this in to this position. And then I'm going to just press Command or Control R. I'm going to repeat grid. I'm going to take all the space out of this thing. Okay. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to ungroup it from the grid. Now we have a bunch of diagonal kind of lines, and you're going, well, Jesse, why on earth did you do that? Well, I'm going to take these diagonal lines, I'm going to put them on top of this kind of bottom like anchored bar, and I'm going to grab them and I'm going to subtract, and I just get a little bit of this. It's not quite racing stripes, but it is just, there's a little bit of character to it, and I think it makes it a little bit more interesting. So let's tuck the word Ferrari right up in there. I just think that looks a little bit cooler. There's a little bit more interesting, some interesting things going on. Let's group the whole thing together and call this lower bar. And let's do 1 or 2 other kind of interesting things here. Why don't we also grab this SL series and bring it over here. And you know what always makes something look nice is just a little bit of vertical text. So let's do vertical text here, and let's line it up kind of vertically there with our navigation menu item there. And I'm going to take a line and I'm just going to draw it down. This is literally just a little accent piece we're going to do over here. Let's bring the opacity of that down even more and group them together and call this a vertical text. Okay. And I think that looks pretty fancy. Let's go back and look at our prototype so far. We have this fancy looking kind of Ferrari in there, some vertical text, a cool bottom bar, and we can bring our overlay in and still just see a little hint of the content behind it, which is kind of cool. Now let's be able to see 360 degrees around this car. And you know what? I feel like I'm missing something that could be pretty cool. I am going to take an E for an ellipse, and I'm going to draw a nice big ellipse. I feel like we need a little bit more interest behind this car, something to just make it pop, right? The client says, make it pop. Let's make it pop. I'm going to choose a red that's from the Ferrari, maybe something like that, maybe just a little bit lighter. Yeah, like that. And I'm going to choose not background blur, but object blur. I'm going to turn object blur on. I'm going to blur it all the way and bring the opacity of it down. And let's stretch this thing up and just bring the opacity of it down a little bit more. And now we have kind of this cool background blur effect. Like it's kind of like behind some LEDs. I don't know. It's just maybe a little bit of a cooler looking thing. So I tell you what, let's do this. We know that this is a component, don't we? We also know that our switcher down here is a component, and each of these components have multiple states. Now what we want to do is create a nested component and create multiple states using these original components and their states. That's what we want to do, okay? So I'm going to grab both of these. You can see I'm grabbing the switcher and I'm grabbing the car itself. I'm going to press Command or Control K, and I'm going to call this Master Switcher, okay? Or 360 switcher, okay? That'll be good. And so now we have our 360-degree switcher. We need to create states, and every state that we create, we will then assign new states for the parent, or excuse me, the child states. There's a parent and child relationship happening here between our nested component and our internal components. So I'm going to press New State. I'm just going to call this State 2, okay? And I'm going to double click into my nested component, and I'm going to choose a new state. So we don't want to use all 36 of these. I'm just going to turn the car there to that state, and then I'm going to grab my switcher and go to State 2. And this is where the tedious part comes in. I'm going to go New One, State 3, and I'm going to double click inside. Let's go to state number 7. I feel like that could be pretty cool. Just choosing different angles of the car, and we're on switcher spot number 3. Okay, let's go now and do another one. We're going to do this all the way up to state 7 or 8 and see how cool we can make this thing look. All right, what I do love is in Adobe XD, when you're doing these component states, you're creating a new state and it's copying all the details of the previous state. So we know that we're starting on state 367, but we need now to switch it to this one right here. Let's go to that guy, choose our switcher, and go to 4. Pretty cool. Let's do it again. Let's make another state 5. And we're just cruising along. Let's go to 14 now. Let's grab our switcher and go to 5. Let's do another one. We're going to keep going, right? State 6, we're almost done. Let's go way far down to like number 21 there, so we can start getting some back angles of this car. Let's go to number 6. And let me know if you have any questions in the chat as I'm doing this work, okay? So I'm going to keep going now over here to maybe that one. That's a cool angle of the back of the car. Right on. And we're going to do one more final state here. It's going to be state 8. We're going to click into the car and let's bring it around maybe here like that. I like it. Grab the switcher and go to state 8. And now we are all set. Okay, now we need to prototype these. So let's bring it all the way back to the default state. And one thing we should have added inside of here is we should have added a tap trigger somewhere, an invisible tap trigger. So I'm gonna hit rectangle. I'm just gonna draw a tap trigger right there. I'm gonna bring my opacity of it down. And the cool thing is, because I did it in the default state, we should see that tap trigger now. It's in the rest of the states, right? So that's pretty cool. Let's just rename it really quick. Tap. I know this might seem a little tedious, but it's going to happen really, really fast. Now we're on our default state with our tap trigger selected. Let's tap it, and we're going to say on tap, not overlay. Let's auto animate, and let's go to state 2. Okay. Now from state 2, we're going to do the same thing. Boom. To state 3. Okay. At state 3, I'm going to do the same thing and go to state 4. Okay, let's choose state 4. And again, easy, go to state 5. And again, Adobe XD is saving all the rest of our options that we've already selected. So tap, auto animate, the snap easing, and the timing and duration of our animation. So that's nice that it does a huge part of the work for us. Let's go to number 6, and we are almost done here. Let's go to state 6. Do one more of these. It's going to lead us to 7. Okay, let's go to state 7, and we're almost done. We got 2 more, don't we? Because we want to lead all the way back around to our starting one. This is going to go to 8, and then let's go to state 8, and this is going to lead us all the way back around to our default state. And with that being said, let's go back to our default state. Let's come over here and just hit the little home. So we always start there. And again, see our little flow symbol has shown up. Let's just call this flow 360 degree. And when we grab our flow, we can move the prototype and the flow itself around. Now this is part of the new update with Adobe XD. Flow is really great. So I could have like a low res flow of this, or maybe like it's this flow where you're turning the car. I want to have a second flow where I'm maybe buying the car and moving through the purchasing process. That could be pretty cool. Let's press play and let's see how this thing works. Again, we've got this nice design. It's looking pretty slick. We can bring in our menu just like that. And then we should be able to tap right here. And we're not only going to see the car turn, but we're going to see the animation of our actual switcher and our bar happen just like that. So we can just switch through until we come all the way back around to our very first state. Let's do it one more time. It's pretty cool. I like it. So let's bring in our menu, take our menu away, and just click around and see all the different angles. Now, if you wanted to, again, you can do every single one of those 36 states of the car. I just didn't want to bore you guys with the tediousness of that, but I think it's pretty cool. I love it. Let's answer a couple questions that were here. Let me see. Timmy Turner says, choosing a random state, won't it affect the main rotation? Not 100% sure what you mean by that, but if I'm thinking maybe you're talking about the tap trigger. So let me know, clarify that question and we'll answer Aaron's question in the chat. Jesse or anyone else that might know, do you know if you can add in artboards after you already created the flow? That's what I've been having issues with. Oh, adding in an artboard into the flow. I think maybe you can. Let's try it right now. If I was to add another artboard, and when I connect flow, I'm not getting the connection because nothing's actually connected to it, right? So let's do this. Let's grab this artboard, Command C, Command V, and put a new one in there. And nothing's connected. So if, like, let's say for some reason you clicked on the name and it led there, well, now all of a sudden the flow is complete, right? So a flow, I'm pretty sure, don't quote me on it, but it is defined as everything that is interactable inside of that user journey or flow. Whatever's connected in that prototype, it's all considered one flow. So if you're having problems, just maybe you just got to make sure things are attached. I hope that answers your question. I may not have answered your question. Mallory Durek says, that's seriously beautiful. I have no experience in this and I would need the Dummies 101 class. Hey, the good news is don't feel like a dummy. This is a great place. We have constantly the Behance Live or Adobe Live has constant Adobe daily creative challenges for things like Illustrator and XD. You can go over to Let's XD. You can go over to my YouTube channel. I have a bunch of tutorials. I even have one that's like the 10 basic things you need to know about getting up and running inside of Adobe XD. So maybe that's something for you, but there's lots of resources out there, and XD is like a really fantastic tool. It's a great place for you to start. Aaron Hunter says, gotcha. I think I've been overthinking it. Isn't that interesting? Sometimes we're just overthinking things, okay? So here's what I'm gonna do. That is pretty much our design. I'm gonna take a look at it one more time just because I really like it. I'm really happy with it. So I'm gonna bring our menu down and I'm going to just animate around and see the differences. Now, I wish I could do like a slider and see it like really, really smooth, but we might wanna take something like this. We might wanna get like a 3D object, do that in After Effects, do all the UI work here, and you can actually export things out. Did you know this? You can export things out to After Effects simply by going to the export menu like that. Then you'd have full control over, you'd have the basic kind of plate of UI design, and you'd be able to do really intricate animation stuff if that's what you want to do. Is the black theme with any particular intent? No particular intent. Just kind of trying to make it luxury and kind of cool and interesting looking. That's really it. With that being said, let's jump over and let's take a look at some of the submissions from the previous challenges. This is day 6 by Sarah K. I'm going to take a look at this little video of her prototype. I think this was the animated icons. Sure enough, you look right up there, we have the icons animating. Oh, we're switching the images in and out. That's pretty cool. Really, really nice work. I like this mask, by the way. I wish I had that mask. So this is nice, really nice work. I would maybe, if I was going to critique it, I'd work a little bit on the layout, maybe, you know, do a little bit more work with alignment with your typography, but the animations are there, they're coming together. I say keep up the good work. Let's look at this one from Shubham Ranjan. He's been in the chat these past few days, and this was his filtering challenge that he did the other day. Looking at each of the individual ones, we got some horizontal scroll groups and then filtering. I like this animation. I like it. I saw an interesting one yesterday where everything slid out and slid back in. I like the idea of them updating and kind of like sliding in and out together at the same time. I think that's pretty dope look. Really, really nice. Look at that. Super nice. Just a slick, clean animation. I actually really like the color blocking up above that too with the different locations. Let's just take a look at this one. There's some layout stuff they're doing here. Yesterday our challenge was to create a filtering kind of different filtering options, and they slide out the menu, and then we're going to get like different places, some sliders, some bars. That was a really, really fun one. I'd like to see if we can get a few more of those. Oh, this is from Trinasky. This is day 8, and this is the filtering one. So let's see if we get what we're looking for. Price. He hits it, everything expands down. Look at that. He taps on it, and it's going to set the price. This one is going to tap what type of material, and then the collection, what collection it falls into. I like this prototype. I think it's really, really slick. And again, when you're prototyping in Adobe XD, you're not trying to build the application as much as set some standardized patterns for your engineering or your development teams, right? So you want to say, this is what it looks like. This is what the animation looks like when one of these filtering boxes expands. Here's a bunch of different examples of that. A slider, right? A check box or a radio box or a check box. So I think you want to be as detailed as you possibly can, and then share that using the Adobe XD share feature, and then give them a dev environment to look at. I'm not the biggest fan of the background blur here for the menu. I would have liked to seen a little bit more contrast there. It just kind of, it feels like there's not quite enough separation. Menus are one of those interesting UX patterns. So maybe do a little bit of work on the UX pattern there and figure out what might give a little bit more definition. Here is one from Sunny.js, and this person is submitting their, it's kind of like an Android like phone application where we can slide the different volume controls. That's a really good use case for that. I like that a lot. Let's take a look at this one from Loris. Let's try to see if we can pump this video up. We're going to filter. I'll bring out those filters. This looks very legit. Really, really nice. Yep. Yeah, yep. We're able to set the limits, right? The only thing I would say is watch out for this line. It's a little harsh when you draw out that first menu. I would have liked to seen it a little bit softer, that line that's in between, but I love the use of kind of like main headers, subheaders for these radio checkboxes. And I also love the color usage here for the active state, inactive of the values there. So that's really nice. It was a really slick animation, really, really clean stuff. Okay. Erin says she likes the dark interface. People like the dark interface, right? Bilal says, please explain the filtering animation. So yesterday what we did was the ability, like in this prototype, the ability to prototype something that has multiple different states. You could collapse them and expand them like an accordion menu of days past. And then inside of each one of those expanded sections, you can manipulate areas. And if you missed yesterday's, I encourage you to go back and watch the stream, but it's going to consist of components, component states, maybe even some nested component states, so that you can get each one of them expanding along. And also we had a recommendation, I forget by who, but really think about using stacks. Stacks would be a good use case there as well. We have time for one or two more. Let's see. Let's look at Franky. Oh, I've seen Franky's stuff. He's participated in some of these challenges. I'm excited to see it. This is a link to the project on Behance. Cute little filtering activities there, and like it. Love everything that's going on there. I would love to see. Here comes a little animation from Franky. Oh, we click the icons and it adds them together, or excuse me, adds or subtracts what's being shown. I actually really like a little hover animation there, kind of expanding. That's a great one. And that's a really simple animation to do. You're literally just hovering over it, and then you're using the mask and just expanding the image inside on hover. That's a great one. That's low-hanging fruit in my opinion. And I love the idea of hitting these icons and using the icons as the filtering process. Up here, we would just kind of change our selections from Europe to Asia, North America, all that kind of stuff. Really slick experience here. And I really like, I'm not sure if that's the wind up or snap, but he slowed down his animation a little bit. And you got to be a little weary of slow animations, but I think it really works here. It's gentle and it's soft. And the animation, this is a really good point to make. The animation, I think, matches the rest of the visual aesthetic of the site. Everything's rounded, everything's a little bit more soft, so the animation can be a little bit more soft and bouncy, right? So I think that works. It's interesting to think about the fact that animation has a look and a feel and a tone. You want to make sure that that tone matches the look and feel visually of your project. Here's day 8 challenge by ArtWolf. Let's take a look at this. It's a mobile application for headphones. Love headphones. Able to scroll up and down using some vertical scroll groups. Got a little filter tab. Boom, he hits that. It dissolves right in. open and close it, and the pluses are turning into minuses, which I think that's the correct implementation of that change, is plus to minus, obviously, right? Change the review. Good. I'm loving it. Yes, I know. Isn't that nice? I would love to see Adobe XD work on some more controlled features so that I could slide, like I could create a slider and then see a price update. I know there's some conflicts there, and component states is a newer thing, but I'd like to see us work towards that in Adobe XD. I think that'd be really, really good. Cornell says, thanks, Jesse. Take care. Have a great weekend. You have a great weekend, Cornell. Amazing. And also, you're welcome, Bilal, for the detailed answer. When will the new challenge series go live? I think next week starts the Illustrator Daily Creative Challenge, and then 2 weeks after that is another XD Daily Creative Challenge. But speaking of XD Daily Creative Challenges, that's it. We are pretty much done for the day, and we're done. The last 2 weeks has been amazing. Thank you guys so much for joining me each and every day, Monday through Friday, here on Adobe Live for the Adobe XD Daily Creative Challenge. If you want to see more stuff from me, you can find me on YouTube. My name is Jesse Showalter. I do lots of videos about design, development, Adobe XD, and I'm actually doing a stream tomorrow morning. So join me there if you're interested for some Saturday content. I hope you guys have a fantastic weekend. I hope you guys are crushing it. And we'll see you right back here next time. And stay tuned. There's more content coming for the day here on Adobe Live. We'll see you next time.